Hi, everybody. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Dad Project. How's everyone doing? I'm great. Thank you for asking. Um, so today's episode is how my online coaching works. Because I feel like that's kind of an important thing to discuss. Obviously, this podcast is part of me growing my business and things like that. So therefore, there is going to be sprinklings of what I do and how I do it and things like that. Um, this is basically this episode is very much a how do I work and things like that. But just before I start, probably this is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, so 2 weeks behind. So I'm talking to you from the past in the future, and Tottenham have just sacked me a manager, Thomas Frank. So I am an extremely, extremely happy Tottenham fan. And it's also proof about how a bad coach in some scenarios just will not work out. Now, that doesn't mean that he's a bad coach. It just means he wasn't the right fit for Tottenham. And I also think that that can work in the online coaching realm. Sometimes you just are not a fit for people, and sometimes people are not a fit for you. So this is why today I just want to say how my online coaching works, and then maybe you'll sit there and you'll decide whether or not you think I'd be a coach for you or not. Either way. So let me just clear up what online coaching is and what online coaching is not. It's not me standing in the gym counting your reps. It's not me um, just doing food plans for you. A it's not a very black and white basic plan for you. There is strategy that goes involved into online coaching. So what it isn't one-to-one personal training. It's not me doing videos with you and you doing exercises in your living room. It's not basically, I'm not a PE teacher, I am a coach, and I like to do this job because I like to get people a result. I like to help people feel and look their best. I like people going from not really liking what they see in the mirror to feeling more confident than they ever felt, feeling like they look a way that they thought they'd never possibly be able to achieve. Like that is why I do what I do. And the reason why most people are quite skeptical is because of finances. And sometimes I think people don't hold value in themselves, so therefore they don't hold value in paying out a block sum of money in a month to have someone help them. There's also a bit of stubbornness that comes with it, right? And the stubbornness comes from, well, I can do it. I can go on YouTube, I can watch a video on how to train. I can go on ChatGPT and get a meal plan and things like that. I can do all of that these days. And the problem is there's more to it than that. And here's the problem with you going on YouTube is just because you've gone on YouTube and you're seeing someone do an exercise, that doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. That doesn't mean that you'll be able to perform a movement as well as them. It doesn't mean that because you're looking at someone that is in pristine shape, that you will look in pristine shape. There's so much more to it. And the other thing as well is when you do things on your own, 9 times out of 10, unless you are really, really committed, then you may struggle to hold yourself accountable and you may struggle to actually get the result because it's easy to give up. It's easy to let yourself down, basically. If you're coaching yourself, and I've done this before, doesn't matter if I have a takeaway every Friday and Saturday, doesn't matter because it's only me that I've got to worry about. But then also doing that every week, taking them actions is the reason why stuff doesn't change. It's why where I used to work, I know of people that used to go there week in, week out for the entirety of the time when I used to be there and they don't change. They never changed. They never looked any different. Training was the exact same. Nothing ever was better, basically. So this episode really is just to remove the mystery of what online coaching with me will look like. And I think there's a reason why a lot of coaching fails. And that is because these days online coaches, anyone can become one. Basically, anyone can start up an Instagram account or a TikTok and get a bit lucky and go viral and then claim that they're an online coach, despite the fact that they've never worked with people, they've never spent the time doing the reps on the gym floor, they've never done any of these things to actually become better at what they're selling. They may even genetically be lucky and just look good, and that doesn't mean that because they look good that they're good coaches. It just means that for them something has worked. And it fails because it's a very generic plan. I just said to you a minute ago that um, people go on YouTube and they'll copy someone's workouts. I've done it. When I turned 30, I was watching Mike Thurston every week. I was watching the Harrison twins. I was watching what they was doing for workouts, and then I was copying their workout at the gym, but I wasn't doing all the other things outside the gym. Um, and then, as I say, when I first started this coaching 6 years ago and thought online coaching was very easy, it was just give someone a plan, tell them to eat protein, tell them to do push pull legs, and you'd get a result. But it's not that, and it used to be very generic. And what I used to do is I used to give pretty much everyone the same meal plan, and I'd give them the same training plans, and everyone would have 10,000 steps and stuff like that, and nothing ever got adjusted. No adjustments were ever made. It was just like, right, you are on 10,000 steps. And it took a while to realize that online coaching is more than that, and you do have to make adjustments. You have to accept that sometimes, and this is another mistake that I used to make, sometimes it was like, oh, they're on low calories, I really don't want to put them any lower. And I even did it myself. Oh, I don't want to go lower than 2,000 calories. When I done my first photo shoot, I was doing 1,500 calories and I was doing an hour's cardio every day. Do I think that that was necessarily as needed as what it was? No, probably not. But I was in a zone. I wanted a result, and I've done what I needed to do. But I also, as a coach, I used to sit there sometimes and go, well, I ain't going to put anyone else through that. No, sometimes you need to. Sometimes if you're not losing weight at 1,700 calories, you might need to go to 1,500 calories. If you're not if you're eating low calories and things still ain't changing, well, you're probably going to have to increase the cardio. You're going to have to increase your output somewhere. And then you might have to cut calories again. It's not always black and white. And as I say, I didn't used to make adjustments for people, which is why people didn't usually get results when I first started out. It's why it took me so long to get more results with people. And the accountability was soft. I used to, just send over a form to someone on a Saturday afternoon. How's your training? How's your food? Everything okay this week? Send me your pictures, front, back, side. No real accountability. The accountability was pretty soft, basically. And, if someone told me, I went, oh, well, I went off the rails, like, oh, don't worry, it's just one meal. No, bollocks. If you're in a diet phase, you have decisions to make, you have choices to make. You have to decide whether you really needed to go off plan on a meal, or whether you just did it because I'm not pushing you hard enough. And that's why I think most coaching failed. And that's why my coaching failed when I first started coming up. Now I've learned a few things. I've worked with people and I've took lessons, and my coaching in the past 18 months has really leveled up, and I'm quite proud of the service that I deliver. I'm proud of the results that I've been getting. I'm just proud of how much better I'm becoming as a coach, and that has come from investing in myself to become better. And it's no different to getting yourself a coach to make yourself look better. You are investing in yourself. I don't think there should be this stigma over investing in yourself to look better. Yes, it's what I do for a living, but I also think when you turn around and you're told the price of £150 a month, that's how much it costs, by the way, and you turn around and go, oh, I can't afford that. But the reason you can't afford that is because you're still living off takeaways every weekend. You're still going out for beers every weekend. You're still smoking cigarettes all the time. You're still eating meal deals. You're still stopping at services and things like that. When you add that up, 150, actually, you're quid's in if you stop doing that and you pay for the online coaching to make better your health, get leaner, get stronger, look better in your clothes, things like that. So here's what my setup is these days. So from day one, the first thing I do when it comes to onboarding is we'll have a free consultation call. We'll have a half-hour chat about your life, about what you do for work, what your schedule looks like, things like that. And then that all comes into account on how I will program you. Now, I will preface this as well and say that a lot of the time with the consultation calls, as soon as I send that consultation form over, and I have a question on there saying, what barriers would stop you working with me? When the answer straight away is financial, and it's not anything like work, kids, you know, life in general, like things like that. When the first thing is financial, it's like, I might be able to sell it to you, but I don't know how long term committed you'll be, because the first thing you're thinking about is your finances. You're not thinking about your long term health. Now, a lot of people think like that. I've even thought like that. But the first time I ever went to get a coach, like, I ended up the first coach I had, and God bless them, they weren't terrible coaches, but I got them to like knock the price down. So when they're knocking the price down, I didn't take it seriously. Whereas when I was paying a full price with someone, I took it damn seriously because I was investing. Um, so when it comes to onboarding, we have a free consultation call. And then when we decide to work together, then we go into an assessment week. And when we have that assessment week, I will look at what your food looks like on a day-to-day basis. And I always say this to people, because one thing people will do is when they start working with me and I say, right, let's do a week's like assessment period, and then they'll try and diet before we've even started. It's like, no, what I want you to do is I want you to eat normal. I want to see what your habits are like now. Because if I don't know what your habits are like now, then I don't know what needs changing. I don't know whether you are slightly where you need to be and you just need a few tweaks, or you're so far off the radar that you need a lot to change to get there. Um, so we do that assessment week. And then with the assessment week, 9 times out of 10, people are coming to me because they want to lose weight. In fact, I think the majority of the time when people have come to work with me, I have not had many people come to work with me who have wanted to put on the size. There's usually the initial call is because they want to lose weight and they want to look better. So what we have to do is we have to put targets in place. And I think, and again, I've learned this recently in the last 6, 7 months, is I used to be very much a slow and steady wins the race when it comes to weight loss. I disagree. Uh, and I actually think that quick, aggressive diets are the way forward, because one, you're invested in it. If you're invested in it and you think in 8 to 10 weeks, you can lose the majority of the weight that you want to lose, and then you can start getting more food in your diet and you can start getting your social life back a bit. Sorry, I've got this, you can get your social life back a bit and things like that. Start enjoying, socials with your friends and things like that. However, again, when you are in this initial 8 to 10 week diet phase, you are going to have to say no to some things. You're going to have to make the decision that, do you really want to lose the weight, and you're willing to say no to things. Because I think I said it on my first episode, or it might have been my second episode, is there is a lot of times that people come to me because they want to lose weight and their partners will hold them back, or their friends will hold them back. Peer pressure will fuck it up for them. And the reason peer pressure fucks it up for them is because they're too selfish to accept what your goals are. I've been doing this for about 6 years now. And the first couple of years, I had a lot of support from people. I had a lot of people that was like, yeah, it's really good you're doing this and stuff like that. But then the moment I turned the dial up and I really wanted results, a lot of people, and I'm talking close people, backed away. Very much like, didn't like what I was doing, didn't like that I was taking it seriously and things like that. But as I said to you before, listen, my goal is when I'm 70 years old, I want to be fit enough, strong enough, look good enough that when my kids are getting married, I'm walking them down the aisle. I'm fit enough and strong enough to play with my grandchildren. That should always be the long-term goal for people around my age. For people from the age of 30 up, you should be looking at your long-term health, because you're no longer younger. You're no longer living this young, carefree life where you're on the go all the time. Life is getting busy. Life is getting hard. So when someone comes on with me, the initial onboarding, sorry, there might be occasions where I'll go on to it. When someone comes on with initially, then we go for the targets. And as I say, 8 to 10 week diet is the initial straight off, followed by a 2 to 4 week maintenance. And then it depends how much someone has to lose. If someone has to lose 100 someone's 120 kg and they want to get down to 90 kg, so that's 30 kg to lose. They're not going to do that in 10 weeks, but they will need to have diet breaks. Whereas if someone's literally just got to drop 10 to 12 kg, and we do that in the 8 to 10 weeks, then the possibility is, well, then they're going to want to put some muscle on. They're going to get stronger. They're going to want to like increase lifts. They might want to get their bench up. They might want to do a photo shoot. There might be different goals that come into it. And then you can start having a little bit more fun with the program. Then you start getting stronger. And there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than loading more plates onto a machine when you're doing a chest press. There's nothing better than feeling like you've got more food, more energy in you after you've literally been dieting hard, you've been training hard to drop all this body fat. Then what you want to do is once you get to that point and you're going into this reverse phase, you don't want to put all the weight back on. So it's about getting stronger, leaner, whilst also maintaining a physique, which will pop more because you will have more carbs in you and you'll have a lot more glycogen that will push around and it will start looking great and things like that. So it's about the targets. It's about the targets that come after the 8 to 10 week. So it's about building targets. It's about having an actual roadmap to be able to achieve your goals. Then comes a training plan. Now, the amount of people I know of that will turn around and go, yeah, I can do 5 days a week. And then you look at that initial assessment week and you see they've only been to the gym twice that week because work was busy or they had to get home for the wife and kids or whatever reason it might be. So how are you going to go from 2 days in an assessment week to 5 days? I think you can still get outstanding, amazing results with 3 or 4 days of training. And in fact, from the age, of 30 upwards, recovery is going to start slowing down because you are working harder. You are burning the candles both ends and stuff like that. So actually, better recovery is going to lead to better growth. So I tend to go with 3 to 4 day training plans. I don't like doing 5-day training plans, and I think 2-day training plans are still okay if you're a beginner and stuff like that, but I think you'll get more out of 3 days and more out of 4 days. Personally, that's how I feel, and that is how I program. And food. Now, I could do meal plans, and I don't mind doing meal plans, but I think people should learn how to track their calories. I think people should learn how to track their food because it's a habit that will always lead to good decisions. And the thing is, the moment I turn around and go, here's your meal plan, give it 3 or 4 weeks, you might start feeling rebellious. I've been there before. You might start feeling rebellious, like, oh, this food plan is boring, man. Fuck it, I'm going to eat this. Fuck it, I'm going to eat that. And then you're going to get bored of the process because I've given you a meal plan. Whereas if I turn around and go, you need to eat 170 grams of protein, you're on 1900 calories in this diet phase. Carbs and fats can vary, doesn't really make too much odds when it comes to a fat loss phase, but you do need to be hitting your protein target and your calorie target. And if people learn how to track and they learn how to track their protein and then they learn a little bit more later on about their carbs and their fats and what works for them. Some people might work with a higher fat diet and lower carbs and vice versa, but you'll always need the right amount of protein. So I tend to program my male clients around 1.8 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. For women, I tend to go for 1.5 to 1.8, depending on how often they train and things like that. So I prefer to give calories and macros as opposed to meal plans. I will do meal plans, but I also think if I turn around and send someone over calorie targets and their macros for the week, they could quite easily go on ChatGPT and go, this is what I like to eat. This is the calorie target I've been given by my coach. Can you give me a basic meal plan? Then you can use that basic meal plan, put it into MyFitnessPal, and then you adjust it to get to where you need to get to, because there is a little bit of variance between the two. And then there comes the non-negotiables. You have to check in with me once a week, and you have to do a voice note or a video check-in as well. Reason being is a lot of the time people don't tell you exactly what you need to know. People don't tell you the things that you need to be told about. People will tell you things after the effect. And then because they're not telling you as much, you don't know why a week's gone a certain way. So non-negotiables is, check in every week by midday on a Saturday, and I'll require a voice and a video note to go along with it. How your training's been? How's your week in general been? Like, how's work been? How's your family life? How's you got any plans this week? Things like that, like all the stuff that you need to do. Because the one thing that you don't get with online coaching, you'll get with one-to-one personal training, is you don't get that rapport because you're not seeing them all the time. What you're doing is you're just building a rapport through check-ins, through phone calls, through voice notes, through Zoom calls, things like that. It's not necessarily physically in that situation. And the other non-negotiable is you need to give 100%, because I can absolutely give you the perfect plan to fit your life around your work, the food to fit around your work, your training to fit around your work, your steps, your cardio, all of that. If you don't put the effort in, you won't get the result. So when we start, I need to know that you're as committed as what I am. We are a collaboration. I can lead you to water, but I cannot make you drink it. And that is always on you. That is my non-negotiables from your day one set. And then week to week, here's the reality of it. Once we start going, what it's actually going to look like is a 3 to 4 day training plan. Your macros are adjusted for yourself. If we're starting out on a weight loss, which 9 times out of 10 we are, then it will be adjusted. You'll be in a deficit, so your calories are already there. The one thing I will say is a calorie target is for you to hit, not only get to that as your maximum. That is what you need to hit. If you are on 1900 calories, you need to be hitting around 1900 calories, not your 1900 calories. Okay, I'll eat 1300. Because if your body starts adapting to 1300, then where do we go from there? So you need to follow the plan to the letter. The plan has been written for you, so follow it to the letter. So the week to week reality is when you're in a diet phase, some weeks are going to be good, some weeks are going to be bad. They're going to be hard, but you'll have my support. You'll have me at the end of the phone. You'll be able to send me form videos. You'll be able to sit there if you're turning around to me and going, "Oh, my shoulder's hurting when I'm doing a chest press," and then you send me a video and you're there like that. Then I know how to make the adjustment to make sure that it's working properly. That's one of the things. Then you will get, you'll get a video response on how to do these forms. You will also get Loom videos from me explaining how to track your calories, how to fit in training around your schedule. Then the other thing that will happen is how decisions are going to be made. So I said this on the podcast with Nick, and I'll say it again. One of my clients the other week, he had a bit of a slip up and he went off playing, had a bit of a binge, and it turned out that the reason that he did is because he was stressed from going away from work. So his trigger when he has food noise is around stress. If he's stressed, then he'll likely go off the rails. So how do we adjust that? Okay, you're going to send me the food you've tracked and pictures of your food so I know that you're staying on track. And then do you know what? He lost the amount of weight that he wanted to lose in his weekly target. So if we both said we want to aim for around 1 kilo a week, he hit his kilo that week, despite the fact that he went off track on the Sunday into the Monday, because he told me when the event happened, not after the after the event on the Friday. And again, when someone slips, it's about how you navigate that. Now, I can sit there and I can have a go at someone. I don't. What I tend to do is I tend to turn around and go, why? Why have you slipped? What has made you slip today? So then when you know why they've slipped, then you can make the adjustments and you know to look out for it in the future, if it happens again. And the other thing as well, that when it comes to coaching with a week to week reality, whatever phase you are in, there's going to come a point where your motivation may dip because you're now into a routine. And it's the same. Listen, when you go to work, right, and you start a new job, the motivation is high, right? You're motivated. Oh, I want to make an impression. I want to be good at this. I want to be good at that. And then 2 to 3 months in, you might be a bit burnt out because, obviously you're in your probation period or whatever that is. And then suddenly you need a week's holiday to take a break. And suddenly you're not as motivated as you were on week one because you've had 12 weeks worth of different stresses, you've had different achievements, different mistakes, things like that. And it all comes into place. So you've got to rely on your structure more than just being motivated. And if your structure is, and this is something I always tell my clients, make sure you have a session Monday or Tuesday. Get one of your sessions done before Wednesday. And then that way, if you've only got 3 days in the week, one session's done, right? And that's done at the beginning of the week. And then if it happens to be that you can't get there Tuesday because you're working late, or Wednesday because you've got to go pick the kids up, then you can get Thursday in, Sweet, there's 2 sessions, and then you've got Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to get the other session done. Whereas if you try and start your week on a Thursday, the likelihood is you're probably not going to hit all your sessions. So again, it's about relying on the structure that has been built for you. And this is what I do. I will build the structure for you. I will do it around your work. So therefore, I know when you can get sessions in. And I will always say, make sure you get your first session in at the beginning of the week. We will also decide as well, if someone says that they don't like a certain day of training or they're not as confident on that day of training. For example, let's just go with the easiest leg day. If someone doesn't like leg day, I would probably always suggest do your leg day first, because if you get the hardest day first, then the other 2 days you've got to come and go and train, the likelihood is you're gonna be fine because the leg day is done, and you're gonna be like, okay, I can look forward to these 2 sessions or 3 sessions, whatever it is. Get your hardest session or the one you least enjoy done first. Get that out of the way so the rest of your week looks good and you're looking forward to training. Then it comes with what the support look like from me. How much access do you get to me? I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm available 24/7. If someone rings me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm asleep, and I'm not going to pick up the phone because you're having a craving from chocolate. That's not going to happen. But you will get access to me. You obviously got my phone number. You can send me a WhatsApp message at any time and I will answer back to the best of my ability on what your problem is. So that's one thing. Feedback, I will always give honest feedback. So, for example, I had a client on my last check-in who turned around and said, "Oh, I wasn't really taking the diet seriously this week. I haven't lost any weight this week. I think we're slightly behind on schedule. Um, so what do I do?" And the feedback I gave was, "Okay, well, now your calories have been reduced, and now I'm going to increase your output and I'm going to increase your cardio. Why am I going to do that? Because if we're behind schedule, then I need to adjust the things to get us back on schedule." Feedback is there to use to your advantage. You know, for example, if it's a case of, I don't know, oh, I've hit all my steps this week, but I wasn't really training that hard in the gym. Okay, well, the feedback I'm likely to give you is, okay, well, we need to work on the intensity in the gym. That is your first goal for this week. If I'm not giving you feedback, I'm not giving you the service that you're paying for. There's no vague check-ins with me. With the check-ins, what you will get with me is, yes, you will get a form sent to you through the app OneFit, which I deliver your program through. You'll get a Loom video that will go through all your statistics and things like that. It will go through how your week's been. It will go through how your pictures are looking, how the weight loss has been, what your nutrition looks like, how's your training, things like that. You'll get a Loom video. It could be a 5-minute Loom video. It could be a 15-minute. It depends how much feedback you need from me. Then you will also get a written response from me, which will tell you what I want you to work on this week, what you've done well, here's what you can do better. I want to give you as much accountability as I possibly can. I want to be able to give you the best service that you can possibly receive so you are guaranteed to get the goal. And I know that I can do that with people. And if I do the vague check-in like I used to do when I first started, 1, you're going to lose interest. 2, you're not going to stick to it. 3, you're not going to get a result. 4, I'm just going to look like a bad coach when it comes to my reputation. And I just don't want that. So you will get a in-depth check-in from me. And then here comes the real value, right? The real value comes from this. If I could turn around to you and say to you, for £150 a month, that you will look better now in your 30s than you did in your 20s. You will have more energy now than you did a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 weeks ago, whatever it is. And all you got to do is invest £150 in yourself. You'll stop eating like shit. You'll stop drinking. You'll stop feeling crap every weekend. You'll stop not having the energy to play with your kids. You'll stop falling asleep on the sofa and not giving the attention to your wife, your partner, whoever that is. You'll suddenly feel like the best version of yourself. is £150 that much? Do the maths on how much you spend on takeaways every month, how much you're spending on booze, how much you're spending on stopping off at petrol stations, meal deals, things like that. And then suddenly, for that £150 a month, I build you a structure. I give you help on how to meal prep. I give you days to do meal prep. I give you your training days, the structure to work around. And then suddenly, by the time you're meeting up with your friends again, you look and feel the absolute best you could possibly feel. You're no longer a bit ashamed of how you look. You're no longer shopping on Jacamo. You're starting to feel like you can wear designer clothes again and actually look good in it rather than wearing them because you don't feel good in the way you look. £150 is not that much. I get it in the current climate of this country, it might feel like a lot. But when you start taking away the intangibles and things that you spend your money on that is actually ruining your health, £150 really isn't that much. And what we do with it is we build a consistency that you'll be able to keep forever. And once you start training, I guarantee you'll love it. Once you start building this routine where you get up and the first thing you work on is yourself, you'll love it. Because there's nothing better than working on yourself. And the problem is, from the age of about 30 up, because we're all getting further on in our careers, we're all looking to start families or we have families, we're looking to be the provider and we start neglecting ourselves. We don't work on ourselves that often. And the first thing you do when you wake up is you work for someone else and you work on them. Imagine you wake up every day and you know that you are setting aside maybe an hour, hour and a half that day just to work on yourself, where you're not an employee, you're not a husband, you're not a partner, you're not a friend, you're not a boss. You're just you, and you're just working on bettering yourself. And with that, you're getting stronger. Suddenly, you're no longer leaning down and feeling like you're going to pull your back out. You're not sneezing and feeling like you're not going to be able to get out of bed anymore. You're able to run up the stairs without breathing out your arsehole. This is what £150 a month can mean to you. But you've just got to look at yourself as an investment. And you, as an investment, you are worth it. And that's what you need to look at. And that's what the way I look at it. I have a coach. I am a coach. I have a coach because investing in my health in the long term means that when I'm 70 years old, I can play with my grandchildren. It means I'm walking down the aisle with my wife and kids and I feel confident. So decision's yours. That's how my coaching works. If you are interested in getting more details, then there will be a link in the bio for this episode. And all you have to do is click on that link and we'll have the free consultations call. And then once we have that consultation call, give it 8 to 10 weeks, you will look like a new you. Thank you for listening. I look forward to doing more episodes. But there it is. There in a nutshell is what my online coaching is and how I know I can get you a result. Until next time, have a good one.